Recording here. I mean, all. Let's go. Okay, it's all looking good. Live on Facebook. Time to start the show. Right. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the EI series brought to you by Blue Ink Project. Today, kicking off the first EI workshop, Aurawan from Sydney, Australia. A quick question, Aurawan. What's the time now in Australia?
Midnight, 10th October. I'm starting my new day.
That shows your dedication. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining in. I have Corina here, Darren here, and it's also live on Facebook. This workshop, Role Modeling Emotional Intelligence as a Parent, hosted and presented by Aurawan, and I got 4 speakers. Let me introduce the 4 speakers and my relationship with them. So let's start with Adelina Stefan from Zurich, Switzerland. Adelina and I shared a few times on an international platform as speakers representing the home country. And then I became her student, where she was my coach, and I did the course on professional coaching, PCMC, Professional Coaching Mastery Certification. She was one of the reasons why I had traveled to Switzerland, especially after seeing her kid showing so much of joy while cycling. I still remember this. This was in November, Adelina. And I said, wow, I would like to use that video for my sessions, because a young kid who's got no judgment, no holding back of anything, and just sharing joy, fun, and what life is all about that we adults need to learn. And then Adelina said, make it, why don't you come down? I said, okay. And so in May, I met Adelina. Adelina, thank you so much. Would you like to say something about yourself?
I think you covered the most important things. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure, so much joy since we have connected and we have built many memories and with all of us here. So I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adelina. Next, I would like to invite Fran Bruning from France. Fran was also my coach during the coaching lab. We had good 12 sessions, and from there, we had a very good relationship, became good friends, and I became a good family friend also, where I and the son, we went out and he was just hugging my arm and walking together. there was a very good relation that I had with Fran's son. Fran, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much, Ben. Yes, you're absolutely right. Ben came to me. He was one of my coachees in one of my group sessions, and we became friends afterwards. I'm working as an executive and group team coach, and I'm based in France, just around the corner from Switzerland. So around the corner from Adelina and the other ladies. So I don't think there's anything else I'd like to add at this stage. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you so much, Fran. The next two speakers, Adri and Yvonne, my partner in crime. Actually, we both were course mates with Adelina during the professional coaching certification, and they're also mothers. But on a professional life, I would like to congratulate Yvonne at this juncture for reaching a milestone. So yesterday, it was your 1-year anniversary of starting your coaching business. Am I right, Yvonne?
That's correct,
Congratulations,
Ben.
Yvonne.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It was such a joy meeting Yvonne and Edu together at the same time. All of us together, Adeline and the children, the kids, we all went to the picnic and had good fun. That's when I met Yvonne's 2 kids and Adri's gentleman. Until now, I find a leader in Adri's son, amazing boy. Yvonne, a few words about yourself.
Also, not much to add. I'm just very happy to be here with all of you. And maybe just one thing. So, as Ben said, 2 kids, a little boy, 2.5 years, and a girl, 4.5 years. Very happy to explore this very interesting topic with you all today. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Adri, how about you?
I'm amazed of how life is changing and is not changing once you become a mother, a father, a parent. People keep on saying, if you want to prepare for parenthood, get a pet when you're very in your late years of a teenager. So now we have kids. Now we see that is not like having a pet, but it does help to teach responsibility. So this is what I'm trying with my gentleman son. I'm trying to teach him responsibilities of taking care of others. So I will, if you will all allow me a bit later, Mike, we will discuss about how we put our kids in life.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you so much, Adri. And last but not least, the leading lady, the star of this event, Aurawan. I met Aurawan in Adelina's class as a mentor who came and taught me on emotional intelligence. I met you on the same platform in Mega Symposium who spoke about emotional intelligence. So I've got a question for you, Aurawan. What's your love and passion for emotional intelligence and why towards parents?
Thank you so much for that question, Benkit. Emotional intelligence is very close to my heart. As a matter of fact, that's the passion we both share. And as much as I have been your mentor in coaching, you have been my guru in emotional intelligence. So I want to make that very clear. I am still practicing and learning from you and learning from your experience. But to your question, why emotional intelligence is very close to my heart is because emotional intelligence is all about us being able to identify and understand the emotions of ourselves and also be able to understand the emotions of others. And at the same time, how do we regulate ourselves and work on our relationships, not just with, others outside, but also with self. Like, how do we develop empathy, motivation, confidence, and bring all those things into our relationships, especially in relationships. So that's why it's very, very close. And as you would have seen in my post on Facebook as well, that I'm a mother of 2, almost 4 years old. I've got a boy and a girl. They're twins, obviously. So I personally juggle a lot. Like, I'm juggling children also at the same time. As you can see, I'm juggling one to the other, as much as I'm also juggling life, work, and coaching, everything else. So I wear multiple hats, multiple roles I need to play, and I don't have time to stop and breathe. So and that's not unique to me. That's pretty much the case for all of us here. which is why I feel we're all here as well. And life happens, things get into the way, and parenting gets questioned. So I find myself really angry, frustrated, guilty, everything happening at the same time. So it makes me wonder, like, once I started practicing EI, I felt that the only thing that you really need to be a parent is to be fully present. So I'm still practicing that. I'm still cultivating that. And it brings me to the part where, what's next? How do we bring this into our children's life? So, like, what Adri has just shared, like, I really love what she said about life is changing, but it's not changing. But how do we prepare them in life to navigate through that? And I think EI is a very, very crucial tool. So it's a super, super important topic. And thank you for that question, Venkat.
Wonderful, Aurawan. You kind of summarized about EI in 2 minutes, but I bet there's more branches that's going to be opening up later today. Thank you so much for being the first speaker in Bruning Project's EI series by kicking this off. Next week, we have 2 more mentors that are coming in. Is going to be speaking on empathy. But I'm very excited. I'm not a parent myself, guys. I'm not. But I don't know why I'm so excited, because I guess I'm going to get so much of information, knowledge from you all. Knowledge is powerful. Information is powerful. So without much further ado, Aurawan, handing over the virtual mic to you.
Thank you so much, Venkat. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for, masterminding the Bruning project. I believe in the cause of it, and I think it's a brilliant, brilliant project to help people for the outreach. And I saw the launch post that you did the other day, and I think it's a fantastic initiative. And the more people get into it, there is so much more. And this is such good timing, because it's an emotional intelligence awareness month. It's so important that more of, I personally feel that AI should be something, it's always inside us. There's a lot of question about EQ versus IQ. I think it is already inside of us. We just need to scratch the surface a little bit more and make it shine. So to me, that is so important. And with that, I want to say thank you once again, Venkat, for creating this platform for us, and an opportunity for us to have this conversation today. And I also want to welcome my amazing friends, fellow coaches, and fantastic moms that I learn something from every time we interact. Fran, Adelina, Yvonne, Adri, thank you so much for being here today and, kind of adding value to this conversation that we are going to have. I am pretty sure that we're going to be uncovering lots and lots of things that I am sure to take back and take away. So thank you for allowing me to moderate this conversation and asking you questions as we go on. So, earlier, Venkat talked about, he asked me about emotional intelligence and the significance of it in parenting, and I've shared you my story. Something very interesting came to mind recently, and it was just because I've been having my mom-in-law visiting, and I'm noticing how my children are, when the grandparent is around, you see that they behave very differently with them. So there is a lot more like love and gentleness, and they kind of just give in so easily. And when you look and you wonder, like, what is it that's so different? So there is love without the need of being firm that grandparents demonstrate. And then it also connected back to my childhood, like my relationship with my grandparents as well. So I'm really hoping that, like, in our conversation today, in the questions that we have in the next, an hour or so, we are able to uncover some ways that we can use emotional intelligence to demonstrate a similar kind of love that our grandparents have shared with us as parents, that we do to our children. At the same time, being firm, keeping them in line. I'm going to use what Adri said, like, keeping things in line and keeping things in check. And because they are watching us, they're learning from us. They're learning from everything that we do, from what we say. So with that, I just want to dive into my first question. Parenting is hard. We all know it, right? There is so much, but there's also so much of goodness that comes out of parenting. I mean, there's a reason why many of us are parents, most of us are parents, and we have children. I would love to hear from each one of you, maybe in your view, what about parenting brings you joy and that makes you want to get out of bed every morning? Who would like to start? I see you one smiling. I was going to come to you.
No, just because my answer, I think, is going to be very short. I'm not a morning person. So when you say in the morning, it's basically very simple because I don't like mornings. But when I see their smiles, it's the cliche. Then I'm really like, oh, it's nice. And you get up and slowly get into it. So I guess it's that at the very morning, in the morning. So, yeah.
I love that. I'm not a morning person myself, Yvonne, and I can relate to that too. Thank you. Adelina, you're smiling, so I'm going to pitch on you next.
Exactly what Yvonne shared. I don't like waking up when it's dark outside or getting up. I wake up and then it's again the smile and yeah, the voice on it. I think that I need to wake her up. So just for everyone here, like my daughter is almost 4, like Aurawan's twins as well. So we share a lot of things together and also with Yvonne because the age is very close. So it's always about, yeah, the smile and the joy that Venkat shared at the beginning, like, and always like when she comes and gives me a hug or I want to try to wake her up and she doesn't want, and then I try to make it fun because and try to explain what we need to do next. So yeah, it's that smile that's you can remember it unconsciously. It's every second with you.
Thank you, Adelina. I'm just waiting to see whether Fran or Adri, who's going to smile first. Fran, I see your teeth first.
So I don't think I can pinpoint it to one thing. It's parenting as a whole and everything. And regardless of the challenges that we face with our children, and sometimes we beat ourselves up because we as parents make mistakes and we maybe react in a way we didn't want to react to our children. I think regardless of that, just the whole fact of being parenting and learning with them, going through this experience with them and it's a learning journey. And I think our emotions, even at an adult age, sometimes we have difficulty controlling our emotions and how we react. So and we just have to constantly remind ourselves it's a learning journey. It's a never-ending learning journey. It's not just them that's learning. We as parents are continuously learning as well.
Fantastic. I love what you just shared, Fran, because I kind of resonate with that a lot as well. Thank you for your insight. Adri, what do you think?
I keep on saying since a while now that being a parent is not necessarily that physical connection. You know, I gave birth, I have my blood, I have, you know, it's the emotional connection, is really the feeling. So I think for everyone, mother, father, friends of parents, that they feel attached to children, you know, when you see them, and it's beyond, they can be either very smiley, they can be crying already, the first thing in the morning can be, you know, that thing. It doesn't matter, really, it doesn't matter, because your heart, your soul goes to them. So you can be for 2 seconds, oh gosh, please just stop. But then it's like, no, this little person trusts me. So he trusts me enough to be free of all filters. That's why we pour our emotion as adults. With who you get more angry, with your husband, with your wife, with your friends, because you trust to be yourself with them. So it's the same for the kids. Like, you know, you say, oh, why he doesn't behave like this outside? Because he doesn't trust the people outside to be himself. So, you know, early in the morning, you ask for the morning, when you see them, they're very happy, they're very sad, they're very whatever. They're so genuine with you. So how can you not take all that? You know, and just say, this is what one of my biggest paths in life is. guide this little person, to share what I can, but also to learn. I think all of us, we learn a lot. Everyone is expecting for parents to be the, you're the pillar, you're the guide, I think so many times they are our pillars and our guides and our coaches and our everything. So
absolutely. Such a wonderful articulation of that, Adri. And I think all of you beautifully put together, the beauty of being parents and what joy it really brings. If I may share, for me personally, the joy, it's a little, I'll go very short, because it's a realization that I've recently had, that, when we talk about that, we are here to teach our children. We're not really here to teach our children. We are only here to provide that space for them to learn and grow. We are there to be the pillars, like, what Adri has said, creating that ecosystem of trust, of support, of guidance. They know that this is a safe space. They can be having a grumpiest day and having the lowest moment of time, but they are still able to trust that this is the environment for them. So I think for me personally, the joy is in having this opportunity to create this space for them to learn, so that they can develop and they can become some conscious human beings, right? I mean, that's how I look at this process as well. So thank you so much, all of you, for such a wonderful articulation of that. Now, I just would like to move on to the next bit. We talk about having things starting from home, including emotions, right? Of course, when they go to school, the schools and the academic framework will have their own set of social and, emotional learning that comes into picture. But when we are talking about, nurturing children at home, everything starts from home, right? They spend most of the time home. And I personally, and this is my personal view, I feel like, as a generation, we are very results oriented. We have become very progressive. We are very KPI driven. We are very productivity driven, that we bring some of those KPI elements at home. Like, I'm guilty of that, right? I have 2 kids. I have to constantly use rewards and punishment to say, hey, like, just a breakfast story. Did you finish your porridge bowl? You finish the whole thing, you get 5 M&Ms from me. And then if you did half, you will get 2.5 M&Ms from me. So I use that like kind of as a way to motivate them to finish the bowl, because I have to rush in the morning. I have to get out of the house. I have to go to work. I have to get on with my life. And then I also bring KPIs in, right? Like, hey, look, did you see your sister just finished the bowl? Did you do yours? Like, I'm constantly doing that. So I feel like, we have this need, this innate need of wanting our children to have everything, be in the forefront of everything. We fill in their schedules with activities, with technology, with things, so that they can be excellent. Like, I feel like our parenting goals have become that way, that we want them to be exceptional in whatever they do, whether it is academic, whether it is sports, whether in social settings, whether they are popular and being accepted or not. So in doing so, I have a question here is, as a parent, what are we really doing to cultivate emotional intelligence skills in our children, starting from home? What are your thoughts about that?
If I may go first on this.
Sure.
I was just thinking while you were talking about this. My son now is passing through a phase at school where he's being horribly bullied, like physically, emotionally, all the possible horrible things. And the first time he came home and he started, he didn't talk about it at the beginning. But then I saw, from all smiley, all playful kid, he was like, oh, I'm not good at this. Oh, I'm not good at that. And I said, from where it's all this? Like, At home, I never tell you, oh, you're not good at this. So then I started discovering that actually, and because all of us, we have different kids, different ages, different environments, you're right, it all starts at home, and it should continue like that, because we will not keep our kids with us forever in our home, in our environment, with our group. They will go outside in life. They will go to kindergarten, to school, they will have friends, they will have boyfriends, girlfriends. So it's on us how we put on them the base that whatever happens on the outside, they need to start having the safety in their own mind, in their own heart, that they are good at whatever. Each of us, we have our own talents, our own mission, our own path. Comparing for us as adults might work in a way, because we know where to stop somehow. But for them, for them, it's so different. So I think it's so important that we show first. You know, kids copy what they see, especially young ones. They copy what they see. So if they see us that we are genuine with them, they will be genuine with us. If we show them that life happens, but we move ahead, they will start doing the same. So I try on my side with my son, I try to do this. I try to explain to him, he's 9 years old. So I try to explain to him that life happens, is not complete paradise all the time, everywhere. He will never, ever get all the time whatever he wants. But that doesn't mean he needs to stop, that he needs to be so down and so on. So might one day is like this, but then the following days will be okay, because he understands. And this is how it goes. If we show up first in front of them, they will copy us without even realizing, because they trust us.
So maybe if I may just summarize what I heard from you, Adri, I think it sounds like if we can model that genuineness, if we can model confidence, that we can navigate situation, like, you know, life happens, but it's not all paradise, but we have the confidence and the ability to manage it. And you know what, this is actually one of the EI skills, which is, you know, we are able to adapt to the changing situation. So we teach that, we demonstrate that through our actions as being confident, being genuine, and creating that trustworthy environment that beautifully kind of puts in. Thank you for that, Adri.
Exactly. Flexibility is really one of the key skills in life. And flexibility means not that I bend how it's useful for the others all the time. I bend to model on different situations that come and that I cannot change. They come. So for as beautiful as you want to say, oh, I want to change the planet. Might you were not able to change the planet, but you can change how you react to it, how you live your life, how you know, not everything stops tomorrow. So it's the same with our children. We need to give them the motivation to move ahead, to start learning, to never stop on a no, or on a today you're not allowed to go outside because, and you know, in their mind will be like, oh, so that means that I'm not good at that. No, today is like this. Who knows tomorrow? Let's see tomorrow. So, you know, to give them this adaptability.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Adri. Would love to hear from either of you. Any one of you would love to chime in on this?
Yeah.
And it was my Netflix password. Sorry.
Let's welcome Sunita Kaur.
Hi, Sunita.
Sorry, Aurawan, sorry for that. Continue.
Yeah, no problem. I think maybe Adelina, Yvonne, one of you were trying to speak at that time.
I wanted to say that, I relate a lot to what Adri said. And when I heard this question now, it was like, not that my first thought was not actually what we are doing, but being there for them, with them in every situation. So, and encourage them to express the feelings, like, and you know, when they had a tantrum or a bad, something bad happens, let that moment be and observe, and then try to explain something And I think like when I say about being, it's being fully present, like make eye contact, stop whatever else you're doing, because that's another way. Like I see with my daughter, they are always trying to do something just to catch my attention, or starts throwing toys because she wants me to look at her or do something. And I say, what do you need? And do you want a hug? She said, yes. And then she stops, like all of a sudden, from something like throwing all the things around. It's the opposite. So it's really interesting though. And I think then when you see that they count down, it's important to explain them. We try to explain with simple words what happened or what would happen next. So it's something that, yeah, as we said until now, it's not something that we do and stop. It's something that you have to do it all the time. We continue that learning so that they know, okay, what Adri said, this is today, but tomorrow we will do other things. Tomorrow you can start anew. You may feel differently. So yeah, but for me it's always like, yeah, be there in that moment. And even it doesn't mean that you have to be all the time, because as you shared and all of us share here, like it's so busy, like the day is so busy. So sometimes we have very little moments with them, but just maybe have even 5 minutes to connect with them truly and play something where you're not doing any other thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that, Adelina. And because you mentioned earlier that, you know, your daughter Sophia and my children are like literally 15 days apart. So I can really relate to the situation of this heightened need for attention that comes in. And I have actually noticed this personally as well, that when I'm sitting there with a phone in my hand, for example, there is more drama that happens on the floor. Versus if I just leave my phone on the table and I sit with them, being fully present in that moment, they don't care whether you are playing with them or you're not playing with them. There is a sense of calm, like there is like almost like a calmness there. So I'm relating a lot with what has been shared so far as well. And I really like what you said, Adelina. And I think it's not what we do as parents, but it is who we are and what we are when we are with them is I think what you were trying to say. And I think I really like how that comes very together. But I mean, how does that come together very beautifully. So thank you for that, Adelina. Fran, Yvonne, would you like to add?
Yes, I actually would like to add, there's 2 things that came out there that I would like to add on to from what Adelina and what you said. First of all, what Adelina said about the calmness is our children are still learning. They're learning to process their emotions, and they don't know how to regulate those emotions. So something might happen and it comes out as a tantrum, or it comes out as it looks like they're losing control. If we are the calm in the storm, and not to add to this emotional outburst, because sometimes, yes, these things happen in embarrassing situations. We might be in a public place or something, and we just want them to keep quiet and not to cause a scene. And that is being present, to be the calm in the storm and to show them, and that actually speeds up the calming process. And we can talk to them or deal with it depending on the child's age later, but not at that particular moment, because they're still trying to process those emotions. So to be the calm in the storm is the one thing that I wanted to add on to from what Adelina said. And in terms of being present as well, what you said, Aurawan, they notice when we are distracted, and then they want our attention. And sometimes, yes, we cannot give them 100%. We have to show them that being present, sometimes we cannot just be there 100%. We have to cook food, we have to answer the phone, we have to shower, whatever it is.
Exactly.
And these are things that they have to also in terms learn. It's all part of the learning process. So this being present it's not possible 100%. And they don't know how to regulate their emotions when we're not there, when they expect us to be there. So this is a challenge, and this is a challenge, I think, for almost all parents at some point.
I really felt like, what you brought up, Fran, is like a two ends of a scale. So we have a two situation of a push and pull. While we want to be there, fully present 100% of the time, we are weighed down by the brain science of the child that literally they're learning. The virus is still kind of coming together, the pieces of puzzles falling into places, and they're learning the art of regulation, which is something that happens much, much later. I don't know. I still feel that I can't regulate my own emotions at times. I mean, even though I try my best to be fully aware of it, this is really a child we are talking about. And very interestingly, I just wanted to bring in something really quick. Yesterday, I had a conversation with one of my kids' educator, and we were talking. I was kind of curious, like, why is my 4-year-old literally asking me the same question 100,000 times? Like, why? Like, why is that the same question? And when we were discussing the answer to that, it was coming to me that, like, it's almost like they're trying to put the pieces of things together by asking the same question. Why? Like, you'll find like, why is it like that? And why is it like that? They're hoping to fill in the gaps that they don't have. We do, because we are adults, right? Our brain has learned to cope with that picture. So something happens and we click and we can literally go back and do it right away. But children, they're still developing that science, the wiring of things for brain to be fully developed as well. So I absolutely love the point that you brought out, Fran, that even though we try our best, and you see, this is also where we feel guilty, right? When we are not able to do being present 100% of the time, we forget that the child doesn't know that he cannot or she cannot regulate the emotion. So we start blaming ourselves that, am I being present enough? So just something for me, that's something that came up for me while you were sharing that, Fran. Thank you for that. Very well put. Yvonne, would you like to add something real quick on this?
Yeah, just very quick, and it goes, of course, very connected or building up on whatever you all said already. For me, I think a crucial part is really to consider them as little people as they are, and that's what you said, like about being present. To me, when they question, to really take a moment and to answer, so to consider their thoughts, and that's exactly the guilt or also the stress that we have in the daily day. It sounds so easy. Yeah, of course we consider, of course we're present, but of course when you have like 1,000 things to do, it's hard. And I really try to pause suddenly when I start to realize, yeah, they ask and I'm not present. I'm just giving them an answer and they repeat the questions. So suddenly, okay, 1 second, pause, listen, and then usually it's really okay within 2 minutes, right? So consider them as little people. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yvonne. I see some great messages coming in on the chat as well. Sunita says, agree, sometimes we are the octopus doing too many things at one time. Regulating emotions takes practice, lots of practice. And Darren also shared that, kids feel confident when we give them assurance, and that's the reason that they keep asking why. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And Yvonne, you said it so well that, again, that's an emotional intelligence thing, being able to know, catch yourself, I'm doing this, stop, pause, reflect. So I think I saw this, Mark Manson has said something about emotions, which I think it was like so bluntly put, that we cannot, our emotions will come and it'll go. It'll come and it'll go. We will never be free of emotions because there will always be emotions. We are always experiencing an emotion at one point of time, sometimes too many at one point of time. So if we let our emotions kind of take control of who we are, then we will keep changing who we are constantly, and we will be questioning ourselves constantly. So this is why EI, again, is extremely important, because we stop, we pause, we reflect, and we see, okay, this is what's happening. Emotions, you're not getting control over this. You bring in your intelligence, and then you kind of let your intelligence take over and move on from there. So I think this is a wonderful discussion, and I love everyone's input. Thank you so much. I'm just going to take a quick pause to see if there are any Q&A from the floor, from the audience that we have today. Who would like, we can do a quick Q&A before we move on to the next set of questions that I have. I don't see anything on the chat, Venkat.
Actually, there was one post by myself here.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, it's no worries, no worries. A lot of times, you know, the coaches were mentioning the word. Where's the question now? Let me search for it.
Okay, I see it now. Sorry.
Yep, the word present. They have to be present. And when Fran came in, that's when she said we cannot be 100% present. Okay. Can someone, one of you, please elaborate on the word present? What do you mean by being present there? Because what I feel is that, you know, are you trying to say that besides your own stress, besides your own emotions, your own feelings, you got to put aside everything and be present? Is that what you're saying? That means in order for you to do that, you must have paused and checked in with your emotions first, to let go of your stress, your emotions, your work matters, whatever that's been running on your mind, or even while washing the dishes. Do you parents literally practice that when you mention the word present?
Yes, Fran?
Can I elaborate on that? You
Absolutely.
mentioned me specifically, so so definitely presence means to be there for them, and that's what I say. We cannot always be 100%. We have life. We have to shower. We have to cook food. We have to whatever it is. Sometimes we're working from home. We cannot be there 100% of the time. But if that child, to show them that when they do need us, that we are fully present with them, meaning that we are acknowledging them, as Yvonne so nicely put it, as a little person. We're acknowledging them as a person. They are a human being, and being there for them when they need us. It doesn't mean that if they go, Mum, you have to drop whatever you're doing and run to their beck and call. That we are not their servants. We are their parents. And there's the big distinction between being the servant and being there when they are facing emotional turmoil, when they cannot regulate their emotions, when something emotionally is taking over. It's not meaning being there for every beck and call. Perhaps somebody else has a different interpretation, and I'd like to invite you to maybe build on what I've said.
I would like to add something on what Fran said. So it's exactly like Fran was saying. I don't even think, I always say me, so I'm not generalizing, but me, I don't even think it's healthy for us to spend all the time with the kids, honestly. Because as we feel the need, look the COVID time, we all said, oh my gosh, we're locked in the house. I need to see other people. You were in the house with your family. Why did you feel the need to see your friends, your other adults, just go shopping at the grocery shop with such an excursion? Seemed like a holiday. It's the same for the kids. They need to have time also with their own age people, with their own space, with their own toys. Let them be bored. Let them be bored. You know, boring goes to creativity. Don't give anything to a kid to play with. Just give him a box of matches, a spoon. He will invent amazing games. But if we are there all the time, and this is something I'm telling you as a mistake that I've done, I was constantly giving everything to Luca, my son, absolutely everything, because in my mind, it was that this is what a good mom does. She gives everything, her whole self, her brain, her heart, her soul, her everything. And at some point, I thought, well, this is not that good. So this is a lesson learned from my mistake. Honestly, genuinely, they do not need us all the time. It's not healthy for us. It's not healthy for them. And we have a life also beside, we are moms, you know, like when a lady is pregnant, you say, I'm pregnant, I'm not sick. Like I can do all the other stuff. It's the same. We are moms. It's not that doesn't mean that we don't have anything else in life. And this is an advice that I give also to others that don't have kids, but have friends with kids. Just treat us normal. Just invite us for a walk, invite us for a party, invite us to whatever, because that doesn't mean that our life stops there. Like Fran said, we should not be servants. Yeah. We should accompany our kids in life, not to leave us aside and just, you know. So I think this is also one of the things that helps a lot, building their own emotional intelligence, building their own self, not copying us on everything, you know, not to be a mini mom, a mini dad, they're themselves, they have their own character, their own personality. So
yeah, I really loved how, you know, Fran, you and Adri kind of put this whole context of being present together. Actually, while you both were talking, can I move on, or do you have enough context to the present question that you had before I move ahead? Thank you. I just wanted to kind of like, there was this question that came to me. It's like, are we then penalizing ourselves for not being fully present all the time? Are we then really putting ourselves into like a guilt mode when we are not being fully present? And if we are doing that, how can we use emotional intelligence to create the right balance of being present? I mean, we talk about showing up fully present, right? How if too much is too much, too little is too little, how do we find that balance, and how we can use EI to create that? Yvonne, Adelina, I would love to hear from you because you know, we've had some sharing and maybe a little bit more time for others to reflect as well.
I was just reflecting on what you said of feeling guilty, and I was there as well many times. But then I realized that I spend a lot of time on feeling guilt. So what's the purpose? It doesn't help me. I'm using that moment that could be present for her. So then I realized I try to do other things, like when I see that when what Fran shared, like being present when they have an emotional need, then I realized that I can have some time after, like sometimes, you know, like she's around with me and I need to answer something urgent, and that would take like maybe 10 minutes. I don't want to do many things when she's around. So, but then I realized if I give her the time before, then I tell her, I try to explain with simple words. Then after that, I need I have some work. It's just 10 minutes, or you can do something. Then it really works. It's like each of us have something else to do. Sometimes she's very funny because she says, I want to work as well, or I go to my room and go to work. So it's exactly the mimic, like they are doing exactly the same what they see, so copying you. So like spending time feeling guilty doesn't help at all. Like it makes you feel more down and then waste a lot of time. But it's like, and you all did at PCMC, the coach trainings, and we discussed about the goal setting. So the goal should never be negative, right? So how can we turn that feeling of guilt into something that we will enjoy, something that will make us think, okay, we have something planned. Instead of feeling guilty now, I can plan something tomorrow, maybe half an hour or an activity or something that she enjoys, so that, we have something positive. We will both be excited.
So what I'm hearing from you, Adelina, is turn the guilt around, use it positively to create that right balance of being fully present. I love that. I love that. And I will try to use that next time. I keep forgetting that I am also a coach. So sometimes you forget when you're a mom, you forget everything. You forget that you're a coach, you forget that you practice EI, you forget that, you are a friend or you are something else. It just kind of consumes you entirely. And I, in some way, agree very much to what Edri said, that, that is not your whole identity. Most of us get so engrossed in becoming a mother that we let that define. And where that comes from, it's probably another conversation altogether that we can have another time. But, we know that there is a lot of reason behind that and how it happens. But what's important is how we move from here. And Adelina, I really like what you said about turning the emotion around, turning the feeling around, and use that positively to show up more present. Thank you.
Yeah, Adelina,
Yvonne?
I had exactly something, very similar to your lines that you just shared. I think, for myself, I think every mom needs to figure out what works best, but it's really also, for me, I try to be present. Maybe I would say like 5 minutes every 30 minutes. There is no schedule like that, right? But at the end of the day, smaller chunks, which help my own agenda, and I feel also the kids, because they are just more balanced. So with mine, it works very well. Everybody needs his or her own rhythm. But I think that's a beautiful way of balancing. And then, of course, I don't know if we also talk about that, but for me, it's once more also to let go of control, which is just, they stretch us every day, they trigger every day. So I try basically to make less plans, to try to keep my to-do list short for the day. And then whatever I accomplish is a success, basically. And doing it together also with them is usually, it takes much more time. It's usually ending in a bigger mess at times, but it's very rewarding for the kids and for yourself. So also that to really build all this extra time for our agenda or for our to-do list, to do it among the kids, with the kids, next to the kids. That helps.
Fantastic. So from Yvonne, I heard what you said, two things you said. One is you schedule time to be present with an intention. You make that conscious effort that for this particular time, this particular moment, I am going to be fully dedicated to this moment with intention. And the second thing, which I absolutely love what you said, is let go of that control. Being flexible and being adaptable. I really want to share a little story, if I may, because I've just had this conversation with another mom about this, that I feel that we unconsciously, subconsciously as parent, feel that when the children are young or when, they're still growing, we have a lot of control in how the learning environment is created for them and how we can influence the way they grow. I feel that it's very unconscious in us. And as a result of that, I don't know, when the kids are smaller and younger, we tend to do a little bit more. I'm seeing myself doing that. So that's where I'm coming from. But I feel like as children grow, sometimes we forget to let that control go because we're so used to holding on to that control a bit, not realizing that they will eventually grow to be people of their own, like each one of us here. So it's so important. The point that you brought up is, recognizing when am I really over controlling the situation? Am I trying so hard to exert my agenda, prescribing it to my children, how I want them to be? Like, I don't know. I feel that's again, a very big topic that we can probably bring it up another time. But I think what you brought in is very, very valuable. Thank you for that, Yvonne. Fran, Adri, would you like to add anything on this?
I would actually love to add something. Somebody said, one of my coach colleagues had a speech on regulating emotions, and she put it so nicely about this control. We have to teach our children to be in the driver's seat, to be the driver and not to be a passenger. And I think that's where it comes from. You know, we have to teach them to be in control and not just to be the passenger. And by us not controlling them all the time and trying to regulate them, if we do that, we're not empowering them. We're not empowering them to become the driver. We are teaching them to be the passenger. And I just love the way she put that. She didn't put it like that. I've put that in my own words, but she used the metaphor of the driver and the passenger.
And I think you, sorry, Fran, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You didn't.
Okay. No, I was just going to say it's so wonderfully apt because it leads to my next question, actually, very beautifully, that I think that, you know, you just said that we should not be regulating things for them. We should put them in the driver's seat. We should not teach them to be a passenger, because then they become so used to being a passenger that they will be passenger for the rest of their lives as they navigate through difficult situations as well. And I mean, I see that. I mean, a lot of that happens to me, and, you know, the culture, it goes back a long way, like I said earlier. But my next question is, like, as parents, how do you think we can actually model our behaviors so that our children can learn empathy, motivation, confidence, and most importantly, this awareness that, you know, that you know what you're doing, that emotional intelligence aspect of things, so that they can become conscious human beings when they grow. Adri, I would love to start with you, because I didn't get to you before I asked that question, but I thought it was a good spot to bring that in.
I was just thinking now, while you were, ladies, you were talking about the previous topic. You know, a couple of weeks ago, Luca said to me, without being like, he was not angry, he was not upset, he was like, just, you know, genuine talk. He said to me, Mama, you always say that you want for me to be independent, but sometimes when I come to you and I say, oh, Mama, can I go there? Can I do there? You say, oh, no, you're too little. Well, then decide, you want for me to be independent or not? Genuinely put by a 9-year-old without any filters in his mind. So, you know, kids, until they go towards teenage age, they don't have filters. So for them is mostly either this, either that. We have 1,000 billion filters in between. They don't have, for them is either you give me or you don't. Either I can or I cannot. So it's really tricky to learn about your own kid, that he is a different personality than yours, that what I like, he does not like, and he shouldn't like everything that I like. He should not be my copy. He should not be sad for the things that I'm sad, or joyful for what brings me joy. He is entitled to be his own, as long as it doesn't harm anyone, as long as he doesn't make the environment around us his own stage for himself, you know, to go in that egocentric area that, oh, because I'm the kid, everyone should submit to me, to whatever I feel. This is the tricky part, you know, when we model, I don't like that much this word, because that means that we shape them. We should not shape them how we feel. This is the tricky thing, to let them be their own, to develop on their own, but also for us not to go brainy, you know, for our heads to explode. We need to give them rules. This is our role. We should not be their friends. They will have friends in life. They should come to us because they trust us. We are eternal pillars in their life. No matter what happens, mom, dad is there, family is there for you. But we should not have that continuous idea that, oh, he's my kid, he's my property. They're not our property. They're on their own. They have their own personality. They have their own, you know, we had the gathering, me, Venkat, Adelina, Yvonne, with all the kids, different ages, different characters, and not even the same as parents, if you think about it. each on their own way of doing things, and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine, but it's on us to also realize that we are the adults, we are the parents, but we are not the owners.
Absolutely. I think, Adri, you bring in a very important point here, right? I mean, we definitely shouldn't be trying to impose, like I said earlier, prescribing to our children how we want them to be. Absolutely, very spot on that. And my question is really, because our children are constantly learning from us, they are observing what we are doing, how we are navigating through situations, and how we use emotional intelligence, for example, in each situation. So how do we then, I mean, this is probably a question to others now, like in the sense that how do we show up to demonstrate to them that this is how EI can be practiced in life, and this is what you can take and you can go and live your life. That's the question. So, Fran, I see you smiling.
Sorry, I've lost my mouse for the mute button. No, it's actually, sorry, I was smiling because of what Audrey said, and it reminded me so much of a poem from Khalil Gibran about our children that are, you know, they like, we the bow, we're shooting the arrow. We can point the arrow where it must land, but we're not controlling that arrow. We're just there to guide it. So I'm so sorry that I went off topic slightly. I was just thinking about that when from what Audrey said about this poem from Khalil Gibran. So apologies for that.
No. All good. But would you like to add anything to the question? You know, how do we, you know, demonstrate EI?
That it's a very good question. I would like to add to that. In fact, I think the one thing is not to judge our children when they show their emotions, when they come from a place where they're very emotional, or they might be having a tantrum or something, is to stay neutral, not to pass judgment. And that makes them feel safe. If we don't question their reactions, if we just, I say accept, it's a broad term, but to show them that they're safe with us, and we're not passing judgment because of their reaction, and not teaching them to suppress these emotions, rather to control and to manage their emotions than to suppress them, and just for them to see that they are safe with us as parents. We are not there to judge them, and rather do the teaching later, not try to teach in that moment when the tantrum's happening, because none of us, when we make a decision, when we're angry, for example, afterwards we probably regret it. We probably regret it. And why should our children be different? They're not in a headspace to learn anything from us in that moment. All they need is security. The teaching comes when they are calmer, when they are in a different headspace.
Love it. Thank you, Fran. So together with what you and Adri had shared, my takeaway is children are black and white. They are either here or there. They are never in between as much, especially as they grow. I feel like as they grow, as the brain develops, the gap gets closer. But to start out, they are very black and white, and we should never judge them for whatever they are expressing. We should give them space to express and not suppress. We should not use our own filters to label them, that where this child is coming from, and making an assumption in our own head, and try to take the course of action based on what we think we know. I'm adding on to that, but this is what's the connection that I'm getting from what you two have shared. So thank you for that. Yvonne, Adelina, would you love to add in?
Yeah, happy to do. And maybe, so you're asking about modeling the behaviors, right? And I think empathy is one big pillar of that. So maybe a little bit what we try to do in this area is definitely we talk a lot about feelings with our kids. We talk when we look into books with them. We ask them, how does the girl here feel, you know, what they see, so that they really start already. I mean, our boy is only 2.5, but that they get very familiar with the terms so that they can also express how they feel when they feel something. Which with Nilo, for example, it's really, when he was not even 2, he was already saying, I'm sad. So it's an important thing, I think, for them to communicate, and then feeling closer. And then, of course, the next step is, so how does your sister feel, you know, when you hit her? Or so really have all these conversations, to what Fran said also, right? Most likely, if it's in regards to a tantrum, then we can't talk in this very moment, but we can talk when we have meal times, and so about that, about other people, and then of course also show them, right, being expressive in the sense, you know, show happiness, show also sadness. Or I also tell them, if I'm not feeling well today, you know, I'm saying like, maybe I have a headache or whatever. So I really feel that helps them a lot, in order then to communicate. But then of course also, yeah, they start at an early age then to see and to sense also, oh, Papa is not feeling well, you know, and then really also asking. I mean, my 4.5 years old, she asks, how are you doing today? And it's very cute. But I think, yeah, it's an important part in our daily conversations. So we talk a lot about feelings. And also respect, you know, in regards to the nature. I mean, it's also how the animals are, and so just whatever is alive, basically, connect with the feeling in order to nurture the empathy part in them.
I really like what you said, Yvonne. Really utilizing empathy, and that's EI at its best, right? Cultivating that, and it all starts. I mean, we said earlier that EI starts from home. I think empathy starts from us. If we can be empathetic towards ourselves, then it's easy for us to model that to our children. And I can share, like, I just really love what you said so much that I want to share something very, very similar that my son does. And he will come around, and he's not even 4, and he will just give me a hug, and he'll just sense that something is off with me. He'll give me a hug, and he'll just go like, Mama, are you okay? Mama, what can I do to make you happy? And it blows my mind, because, you know, this witnessing, this constant communication of what you're feeling, how you're feeling, especially, I mean, not to say that anyone's situation is different than mine, but, you know, because I have 2 of the same age, and it's a constant, it's real. It's real. They are constantly, as they're developing, as they're growing. I feel that when you have multiple children in the house, you kind of have to keep things very neutral. You have to, like, remind yourself that you're not taking one kid's side over the other kid's side. So for me also, to be able to practice that, I think it takes a lot of conscious effort. So why do I feel drained at the end of the day? Is because I feel like it's like, you know, when we are really applying our conscious effort, being present, being neutral in a situation where there is tantrum, there is outburst or things like that. It's so hard to stay in the middle ground. But what I also like what you said is about communicating and about being respectful, teaching that, you know, that nature can be used to nurture that. And when I say nature, I mean everything which is around them, the ecosystem that's created for them, right? To use that to bring on, and we can cultivate empathy in that aspect. So love it. Thank you so much, Yvonne, for sharing. Adelina, anything you would like to add?
I think Yvonne mentioned everything what I wanted to say. My thought was about caring. So like empathy and caring, and also connected to the initial question, and for that it starts at home. So the environment that we create at home for themselves. And I relate a lot, like how at this age I had to try to explain to ask questions. Like my daughter is always coming, and I was really amazed. A couple of months ago, she started and come to me and said, how are you? Are you good today? Are you sad? Are you ill? Are you happy? I said, wow, so many words all of a sudden. So it's really amazing, and how they come with their own perception of what they see and what they mean. So the empathy. I think it's really, really so important.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And, Yvonne touched on tantrums just now. I would love to quickly go around the room and see what one tip you can give, the audience here, including me as well. Like when the child is in the outburst, I know some of you have already briefly shared a few tips here, but if you can repeat that, I think that would be really good. When you're in a difficult situation with a child, and the child is going through an outburst and throwing a tantrum, and we have children of different ages here, so I'm pretty sure an 11-year-old would throw a different tantrum, a 9-year-old would throw a different tantrum to a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old here, right? So would love to hear what one trip or one thing works well for you that you would like to share with the audience here.
I'll go first. I think something that I said before is to be the calm in the storm. Because if you start getting angry or showing, it makes the situation worse. And at the end of the day, the child feels worse, you feel worse, everybody doesn't feel good about it. That's the one thing, to be the calm. And then there's actually two tips that I have, Aurawan. The other one is everybody learns differently. We're all individuals, and every child is individual. So what works for one child, a strategy that you may apply, doesn't work for the other. So this is to try to learn what your child's learning style is, what works for the child, and to apply that. Those are the two things that I'd like to add to that.
Thank you, Fran. So just also checking on time, I think we've got 20 minutes left, and we want to leave some time for Q&A as well. So if we can just have one sharing from each one, we can do the summary and then move on to the Q&A.
I think I can go next, because it's very much related to what Fran said, like stay calm and like don't react in that moment, because they will do worse. Like I've seen people doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't help. And then try to speak very, very little, like speak less and speak their own language, like as what Fran said, identify their learning style and try to maybe speak a few words, but show that empathy and try to connect with them. And it really works. At least for me, I worked many times.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I agree, Adelina. The little, the best, or the better. And what is interesting with my 2.5-year-old is that I can ask him, do you want a hug? And this usually also works, which was a big surprise for me. We never tried it with our older one. I wish I would have known, but yeah, then usually he stops and he says yes. So
yeah, I love that one. I use that with my son a lot too. Would you like to come and give me a cuddle? And it always settles. Adri, anything from your side?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I saw on my own experiences as also around me is that if these tantrums happen a lot with the same child a lot, just think, why? Is it because, because something for us may seem pointless, but for them is something huge. Might they don't like specific persons around them. If we keep on taking them in the same environment and they don't feel good, might they will express themselves in a way that for us is like, why do you scream so much? This is their way of saying to us. Might they don't like something, you know, a lot of what I saw, especially if these things happened outside, by nature, the first concern is, oh my gosh, everyone else around us is hearing my son screaming. So first of all, you say to your kid, oh my gosh, you know, just stop it because everyone else around us is looking at us. And I learned on my own not to care that much for the others, because honestly, they continue their own life. They will look at me for a couple of seconds, but it finishes there. But what I start building with my son is there. So just really eliminate what is around. Don't be a savage, like you're not yourself on the whole planet. You have people around you, but the most important thing is your child in that moment. He needs to feel safe, that he is important for you, not what other people are saying, not what other people are looking, not that, oh my gosh, you're disturbing the others. I don't care. Honestly, I apologize, but I don't care. I care that my son needs to feel safe in that moment with me. So just hug if he wants. If he doesn't want, that's okay as well. They are entitled to their own emotions. I also don't go to hug everyone. So yeah, it's really just let them express themselves. When you catch a moment afterwards, if it's still on the topic, not a few days after, because then they lose their concentration, you know, just try to figure out why it happened. Really from things that are so pointless for us, for them it's so important. Might the sock in the shoe was not well put, and for them it was something that bothered them so much. So honestly, from very small things to very big things, it can be, but just show them that they are the important ones.
Absolutely. I think all of you, thank you so much, because all of you have put together like an EI short course on how to handle tantrum. Literally, you know, understanding the learning style, don't react, speak less, speak their language, empathy, connection. I love what Yvonne said about the little, the better. And, you know, offer that curiosity, offer that, what do you need in that moment? And then, you know, what Adri said, really, then we take a moment to reflect further of why is that tantrum happening? Why is that outburst happening? What is causing it? Because there is a reason. That's an expression. Tantrum is an expression of something which is uncomfortable. We do it all the time. I mean, we are women, we know it, what happens every month, right? So, I mean, we know our body is telling us something and things like that. So I think this is all, again, like a framework of EI put together very beautifully. Thank you so much for your insights and golden nuggets. So now what I'll do is, before we go into the Q&A, I just want to take a moment to do a quick summary on what I've heard from you all so far. And I feel some very, very important things that was said today is, you know, never stop on a no, cultivating that motivation and confidence, something Adri said at the beginning, that never stop on a no and keep going, because life happens and they need to learn to see that we will not be able to, you know, that's how we model ourselves. Being present, not what we do, but who we are and what we are when we are with them. Leveraging and understanding the brain science behind it, and doing things without filters, our own perceptions to drive, not labeling them, not judging them. They are very black and white. Understand that they are still learning to regulate. They are still creating their identity. They are the little people that sometimes we forget. We treat them as adults. Turning the emotion around. If you're feeling guilty, turn around and make it into something positive that can help drive you. Make time to be present with intention. Let go of control. Be flexible, adaptable. Teach our children to be in the driver's seat and not in the passenger seat. And I think that's pretty much all that was said. And, I feel that this whole thing, and Venkat, I would love to hear from you, because I think this is all the EI skills, right, that that has come out, being able to adapt, embrace changes, knowing and understanding yourself really well, and then being able to demonstrate that empathy, balancing, listening, expressing, communicating, the art of communication, the science of communication, and being able to motivate and facilitate the growth in our children. So to me, this is EI in a full spot. Have I missed anything, Venkat, in this?
Yeah, I was too engrossed, and I don't mind being a parent after today's topic. But the question is, there's one more interesting question I want to ask all of you all guys when it comes to emotional intelligence, because this word empathy was used quite a lot, and that's what the world lacks today. So we as adults, how are we bringing in empathy or the warmth into our family when there's so much of distractions in today's world? Because our time, we did not have gadgets, or technologies, or whatsoever you call it. Today's world, it's all dominated by gadgets. So how do you parents bring in empathy, warmth, and manage your kids when there's so much of distractions in the house? I see Adri coming back with the video on.
Sorry, I had my cat coming here over, so I don't
The
think the tail
supervisor.
would have been nice.
Adri is a cat mom too.
Yes, yes,
And
I
so
am
is Corinne,
a cat mom, a turtle mama, everyone's mom. When I had this discussion with my son last week, because he's the only one in his class. He's a 4th grader, primary school, that he doesn't have a phone. He has no idea what Facebook, Snapchat, this kind of things mean. And he came home and he said, how come everyone else has and I don't have? So I started the discussion with him.
Okay.
Do you know what these things are? Do you know what they're used for? And then he started saying to me that the kids are looking at the videos where shootings and guns and all these video games are. And I said, so then it started the discussion. It's hard to keep them away, because now they have also in school, and all my colleagues here, they know they will start in school as well from kindergarten, different lessons presented on online platforms. I don't think is the best to keep them away, is not the best. They don't live the same generation that we have. They don't live in the same environment that we had, playing with dolls and everything with, simple cars and so on.
So, but how do you?
But it's also not
show empathy and warmth in the house.
But that's the thing. They copy somehow what they see. So if I would be continuously preoccupied on taking photos of myself with different filters, and that, oh, mommy needs to look perfect and mommy needs to be, he would see that. So he would say, so this is life. So this is how I should behave. He asked me, mommy, do you have Facebook? And I said, no, I don't. I still live, I still breathe like the others. Might I have less things than others, but that doesn't mean that my life stops. It depends on each. So they do need to understand that life is how it is for everyone. Technology exists, but depends also how you use it. It's useless that I have an amazing smartphone and I'm using it for games, when I could use the internet that I have on it for things that are on my interest, developing my culture, reading books, looking for different experiences. Depends on each. We keep on saying, do not model your children as yourself. They're not a mini you. But then on the other hand, we are the parents. We need to give them the path. We need to show to them how it would be the good for them. We keep on saying, when you're in my house, do how I say, and then when you're on your own, do as you want. It doesn't apply anymore, this thing. This might was, ages ago. It doesn't apply. Our kids interact with everything now. with adults, with kids, with technologies, with video games, with YouTube, with Facebook, with Snapchat, with, imagine a 4-year-old that is constantly on YouTube. So it's really a painful process, but we are the mirror for them. We are the first person that they see when they woke up.
A very good point you brought up earlier on with, today's the kids, right? They're all into the games that's being played using the gadget. And it's one of the reasons because of the chemical dopamine, whether any social media for that matter. All right. So that's why I was interested to ask this question. How else are we increasing the chemical dopamine in the house by not using gadgets in your children?
To kids also, the more you say no, it's not good, the more they will be curious. I try as best as I can to explain what is for what. I can say this exists, all the video games, for example, now all these exist, I'm not buying them for you because I don't see the point. And Luca one time asked me why, and honestly I showed him on YouTube a couple of seconds video of a very violent game, and he said, oh my gosh, mommy, this is horror. And I said, oh, see, well then what's the point? And he said, so what's good? So I try to put his mind on things that, he should not be a savage. He should not be like, when he goes with the other kids, he's the only one that has no idea on what planet he lives on. But still, not to push him already, just for you to be like the others, you should accept what everyone else is doing. We are their mirrors. If they see us very much preoccupied for this, they will do the same.
Yeah. I would like to pose this question to Fran because, sorry, Aurawan, Fran's son, who I met, he's around 11 years old, adolescent age, whereas the rest of you all are still young. Fran, how do you handle this at home when it comes to technology, distractions, gadgets? How do you practice EI at home when it comes to such distractions?
It's a challenge, I'll be honest. It is definitely a challenge, but I think we have some fast, hard rules at home. For one, no gadgets, not the parents, not the child, no TV when we eat.
What Adri said also, yeah, nice.
When we eat, we sit at the table together, and every day, no exception. Always, so there's the family time, there's the time to connect, there's no distractions, not for anybody. My son is a little bit special in that he's turning 11 next month, but we gave him a phone when he went to middle school, and the phone is lying in the room discharged. He's not interested. So maybe I'm not a good example there, but he does enjoy his video games and playing, and the games that we allow him to play are educational games, building games like Minecraft, and the type of games. He's got one with the cities where they can build the cities and things like that. So nothing violent. I'm not saying that he doesn't see the violence at all, because he does sometimes tend to watch some other games, but he doesn't actively play in them, because like Audrey said, you can't say no to everything. They have to also be aware of what's out there.
Thanks for the sharing. So basically it's about having a hard rule or ground rules at home, I believe, friend. That brings in the discipline.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's a thought and question from Stephanie, and there's one more question from Darren, which I'll be addressing in later on. Aurawan, you would like to address the question from Stephanie?
Sure. So I just saw it coming through. Let me just read that out. A thought question from person without kids. How much slack do you cut to yourself? I'm seeing so many amazing people as parents around me with so much love and passion for their kids. So I wonder, how can so much reflection, so much thought, love, trying, even guilt can go wrong? It just cannot. Or then it's not all up to you. That's the zone that when the arrow is out of your hand. Yes, there is also an environment, other people's circumstances. Some you provide, some not. And I'm sure this also comes only from good. Having trust that even if it is 10%, 20%, or 30% less than what you expect from yourself, it's okay. You're all superheroes to me. could that slack add up to the calmness you want to provide? That's a very amazing question, Stephanie. Thank you for asking that. I'm stumped for a second.
Information plus a question, actually.
Exactly. Love that, Stephanie. I saw Yvonne's smile went bright when that question was asked.
Thanks for noticing, Aurawan. Stephanie is my sister. Sorry, I need to, you know me, right? I'm honest. So I sit back and hear you answer this question. I will take it up offline with her.
Love it.
One more question around from Darren, when you were talking about this topic of how do you role model EI at home? So during that conversation, Darren had a question during the chat box, which let me just bring it up now. What happens when the tantrums of the child happens too often? I'd lose it too. So I'm glad we're having this workshop on role modeling emotional intelligence depends, because as much as we learn, we study, we read, or we listen to YouTube, when the actual situation happens, we snap, we lose it. Once,
Absolutely.
twice, three times, because I just came back from work. I'm stressed, the traffic jam. It's so much in my head right now. All right, first time I'm fine, second time, but third time around, guys, I might just lose it. So that's from Darren's voice. I'm speaking out loud for him now, right? So I might lose it. So what advice do you have for Darren?
I feel confident to answer this question. No, just because, I mean, first of all, I really practice it. And yesterday, however, I just listened to a psychologist about this topic. And I was very pleased to hear that she also said, of course, we're all people, so it's totally normal. So again, don't guilt yourself, but it's more also what you do out of the situation. And that's really also something that I try to do. Of course, you snap. But then afterwards, you can apologize to your kids, or you can also describe what just happened or why it happened. So I really try to practice this a lot. Of course, I try also not to snap, but it's just a normal day usually that once in a while you do. So yeah, that's for me, it was comforting that the psychologist who studied that also said it is okay and it's normal, but it's what you do with that also to basically show the kid. I mean, it's again about empathy and so on, right? When you talk about your feelings thereafter and you describe the situation and so on.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Over to you, Aurawan.
Thank you for the question, Darren, and Yvonne, for I don't think I can put it better myself. Really, I'm still learning to practice not snapping because it happens to me all the time. And yeah, exactly. I like what Darren just said in the chat, that sometimes you have to show the kid who's the boss, and you can do that calmly without really snapping. So I think it's a great conversation. Now, question from Stephanie. Just wanted to check in. Who would like to answer that one? Fran, Adri, Adelina, about the slack, that how much slack do you cut yourself, and could that slack add up to the calmness that you provide?
Depends a lot on the personality of each. Me, for example, I'm very, you see immediately on my face if I'm happy, if I'm not, if I'm whatever. So I try as much as possible to be all the time genuine. You know, I love my work. I love my family. I love my son, but I also love my work. So I will never say, oh, you know, because I have a son, now the whole life is finished for me. No, I honestly enjoy spending time on my work without Luca. Honestly, I do. That for me is my time off. It seems stupid, but for me it is. me working on different reports, on different plannings, on different things, because I love it so much, is like my time off. That doesn't mean that I don't go, you know, I don't take a movie in the evening, ice cream or such kind of things. We do. And I don't think we should have our whole life planned like on an agenda, you know, from 8 till 10, I do this. And then I have time for myself from 10 till 12. And then what if? Just take it how it comes. Honestly, just take it how it comes. The more you put pressure on yourself, the more everyone else around you will feel. And if you're a people person, a very absorbing other people's feelings, you will put even double, triple on yourself. So this time for myself can be today, can be a long movie, 3-hour Indian movie in the night, can be. Tomorrow might be a simple 5-minute tea, or can be whatever. I personally, I don't have an agenda set up for myself. I just take how it comes. I just try to do the best of how life comes.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, Adri, but I feel that what you're saying is really the first two pillars of emotional intelligence, which is really having that awareness of understanding who you are, what are your values, what is important for you, what are your needs, and then you regulate yourself accordingly. And then you integrate the situation outside of you based on your own understanding, using yourself as that moral compass. So Stephanie, I'm not 100% sure that really answers your question, but I think I also agree with Edri that it really depends on the degree of how, like, you know, you may call it, I'm cutting myself some slack, but it could just be, I am genuinely this person and I'm okay with that, right? And being calm is not really, to me personally, being calm is something that you practice. And obviously we all would agree, having children cultivates that calmness in us. We learn how to be patient a lot more than what we would have been without children. I think personally, and this is for me, I've learned it the hard way. It's really how we look at things from that perspective. So hope that answers your question to a certain degree, Stephanie. I'm just keeping time check. I do have actually, before we take on any more questions, I do have one final question that I wanted to ask my fellow coaches here. And it really is, it's a question where I thought I was going to start with that, but then I thought, no, I'm not going to start with that. I'm going to end with that question. And my question is, what is your goal as a parent?
To know that if I die next week, my Luca will be independent enough, not financially or other way, he's a kid, but independent enough in his soul, in his mind, to not crawl down. So this is my goal, to build on him a person that is on his own.
A person on his own. Thank you, Adri. I think that was very well put. Fran?
I'm just thinking, I'm back to this poem I mentioned earlier, and there's something in there that when it came up for me, I pulled the poem up, and there's something in there that really summarizes it beautifully, is that we can house their bodies, but not their souls. For their souls to dwell in the house of tomorrow, which we cannot visit, you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. And we may strive, you may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. And this is just so beautiful. And I think this sums it up so lovely, in such a lovely way, is that we can be there to guide them, but actually they are there to teach us. We should learn from them. Even though we are, like I say, we are there to guide them, and we do not own them. They do not belong to us.
Absolutely. So beautiful. Thank you, Fran.
You're welcome.
I'd like for ours to become happy and kind people. As simple as that, but also as big as that.
That's a big thing. Thank you, Yvonne, for sharing. Adelina.
Wow, what can I say after all these beautiful sharing? And for me, it's about empower and become what Adri said, like responsible, of course, like with almost 4 years old, it's not that easy, but every day it's one step at it, a little. And then the happiness part as well, like be happy. Everything that you do I see this, and I'm like Adri, like I love my work, and like I'm a career coach. I always inspire people, and I like to make them choose something that they love doing for their work. So of course that's something that I would do with my kid as well, right? So everything that you choose to do, make sure that it's also something that makes you happy.
Love it. Absolutely. And if I may share, when I found out that I was expecting and I had twins, I told myself one thing, that I just wanted them to grow up to be conscious, kick-ass human beings, highly aware human beings. So that's been my kind of moral compass. And it's also where I think my love and passion for cultivating emotional intelligence, just not around me, but within myself, started as well. So I'm really kind of holding on to that. And I love how each one of you very beautifully put in that together. And thank you for allowing me to ask you that question. And I think that's how I feel. I mean, we've all come to this space, with open hearts and sharing. And thank you for, you being extremely vulnerable, sharing something that might be very difficult for you as well. I think it's very well received, and I have personally taken a lot away from the conversation today, and I'm sure our audience has as well. So with that, I'm just gonna hand this to maybe Venkat, if there are any more questions that you would like us to address.
And just some nice messages in Facebook from Dominica, coming from Africa. She was commenting a very interesting topic and well-articulated contributions from you all. So well done, coaches. If I may bring up one more topic, Aurawan and coaches, okay, I just want to share something. I've got my cousin sister here, Nandi. My dad was known to be a disciplinarian at home and a leader in society. So imagine having such a father at home, a leader and a disciplinarian master. So most of the times when we are having dinner together as a family, I'm the third child, the only boy in the family, the naughty one. So whenever we're having dinner together, most of the time I'll be found on the floor. Simple reason is being because I must have done something while having dinner. Okay. And one of the example was when you pour water in the cup, make sure there's no sound coming out from the bottle. So I tend to do that a lot as a kid. And what he does is smack. Next second, I'll be on the floor and my two sisters will be giggling. So he brought us via violence. 20 years later, Aurawan and guys, when I was teaching F&B, food and beverage, I was teaching the students how to pour water properly. And I got reminded of what my father did. Actually, my father was teaching me the right thing, but the wrong way. Okay, that's one point. Now, lately, I'm developing a material on social emotional learning, which is going to be implemented in schools. And we are going to be teaching the teachers. So a lot of topics I've been reading, and I came across this particular topic where parents are fixing and they should not be fixing. So the word fixing, what it meant was when a kid comes to you, Mommy, I want water. Mommy, can you get this for me? Mommy, can you do that for me? And we as parents, we do that. So what's happening now here is, we are trying to navigate life for them with ease. But little do we realize that we are fixing things. We are robbing them from the opportunities to resolve problems and also not to be resilient. So keeping in mind my dad, and today about emotional intelligence, how do you draw a fine line between being firm and saying, no, you're going to get it done? Why are we considered the fixers?
Then,
Friend,
is it a question?
yes, it is. How do you draw a fine line between being firm? Because much earlier, Aurawan brought a beautiful subject about grandparents. All of us love our grandparents because they only showed love, never took the rattan or stick or whatever to cane us. That's why we always went to grandparents. But the kids will not go to parents because parents were very strict. But in today's world, with the distractions, with the warmth, the empathy, we discuss so much. But being an emotionally intelligent parent, when do you say no, you're going to get it yourself? And when you say yes, I'll get it for you.
So can I answer you?
Please come in.
So I think that in one word, my answer is boundaries.
Yeah.
In one word.
Yeah.
Set the boundaries. Where are the boundaries? I mean, for yourself and for your children. If those boundaries are clear, look, we're all human, we all push our luck. We all try and get things, and we all like to sometimes, if I can use the word lazy, which is not a nice word, but we all like other people to do things for us. I think it's natural. We like, so that's where the boundaries are important. Setting the boundaries for ourselves. What am I willing to do? How far am I willing to take it? And setting the boundaries for your children. And sometimes, yes, they need to do things themselves, but sometimes we do things as a favor, and that's okay. We do it with our spouses. Maybe one day we'll fetch their water for them, and why not be like that with your children? As long as they're firm boundaries, when it's no, it's no. And that's something maybe quite important, not changing your mind, that it's no today and yes tomorrow and no the next day.
Yeah. Being
It has to be
consistent.
Totally consistent.
And show them that they can. You know, if you show me that I can do something that I'm totally new at, you show me today, you show me tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, you say, hey, Adri, remember I was showing you that thing. Let's see how you do it now. And then I will start doing it. I'll say, well, I'm very capable of doing it. You know, if we keep on doing
Yep.
with all the love on this planet and on the universe, they will never learn. The thing is on learning. What if next week I am so sick, I'm not even capable of doing a bread and butter for him? He will starve? No, I prepared him already to show him that he's capable of going in the kitchen alone. He will not cut himself. He prepares bread and butter for himself because I cannot. I'm not a superhero. I'm not Wonder Woman. This thing, of course, you cannot do it with a 2-year-old, you know, don't give him the knife in his hand. But depends on the age, you know, just start doing with them things that teach them, show them that they are capable. You know, the pride of a child that is capable of putting the blanket on his bed and say, Mommy, I did it. So tomorrow you will say, oh, remember yesterday you did it, go and do again. And like that, it starts simple. It shouldn't be from nothing, from 0 to a billion, from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, like that.
I had a certain example in my mind, if I may, because it's actually the example, of course, is related to her age, but it's like, okay, I dress you today because we are in a hurry, or then what? And I discussed this with the teacher from the play group, and she said, when she was 1.5, she told me, Sophia is not dressing herself, or she's not putting the shoes on. I was thinking in my mind, like, but she's 1.5. So how, and the other kids were older. So how is that possible? And I said, and the teacher told me, you're not practicing at home. Then we are always in a hurry. We need to catch the train. We need to go. So let's help. And then I started, I took that very seriously. Like every time when I have like even like scheduling the time with her, I say, okay, like I'll try today, and then I see that it really works when she's motivated. Like when I motivate her and she knows, oh, we need to go somewhere and we'll do this. She knows already what will happen next. Then she gets herself ready in a second. but it's like something that I do it now, but it's something that has to be consistent. And at some point, yeah, because I have something else to do, let's see what Sophia is doing, and let's see, wow, you did it very well. Good. That's really amazing. And she's also amazed. And I also relate to the example like the grandparents and the parents. So I was actually, when I thought about grandparents, the example that you shared, I was like somewhere in the middle. Like my grandparents, one of them like were very like doing everything what it is like pleasing and doing everything for me. And then I had my other grandparents, and my grandparent was very strict with rules, like if you don't eat now, I will close the kitchen. So, and then when I was going to the other one, I said, oh, here I can do whatever I want. I can eat, yeah, tomorrow I can eat after 3 hours, because now I'm playing or I'm doing something else. But I knew that there are some rules on the other hand. So there are always like, it's about what Adri said, that each personality is different, like how you embrace that, how you can model that in some way. And yeah, I think that really affected me a lot, because I saw that, like it was for me like two other words, like one, this is like what allows me to be who I really want or be genuine. And the others, it was like, I'm now very restricted, I cannot do this, I cannot, because there would be a consequence. But it's like, and what I learned from these two is like, you need to take the time to really like be present and explain, like, as they say, like explain in few words and speak their own language. And of course, the things that they can learn at that time, and educate yourself as well. Like it's changed a lot. Like there are so many studies, so many books, so many examples around us. These discussions that we're having now, learning so much.
Absolutely. I actually wanted to bring up, I just had a situation that happened with my 4-year-old. They are at a stage where they want to dress up themselves. They want to show that, look, mommy, I did this. Look, mommy, I did that, right? And Selena comes and she's like, mommy, look, I put the shirt on, but my fairy is at the back. I am so little. She says like that, like exactly like, I am so little, I cannot do that. So I told her, how about I take it off, you put it back in, and you go try again next time. And she came back and she didn't get it right again. But I said, okay, try again. Like, because I had time and I could be there and I could do that with her. So, but then after that, when she was able to put it in, there was this like big smile on her face, like, oh my God, I have just won this massive battle of getting my shirt right, or getting something right. And I think it's also how we have cultivated that self-independence. We're reinforcing that you try and do it yourself. So coming back to Venkat's question on how do we exercise that, and I love what Fran said, boundaries, because that was exactly the word that was going in my head. But I think what's also important is for us to know what we are comfortable with as a boundary, because we are all different people, right? Boundary for me may be different from what it is for you, Yvonne, Adelina, Edri, or Fran. Like certain things are okay for you, certain things are not. And it goes back to our very own self-awareness and understanding of who we are and our values and our needs and how we want to shape that out. So I just wanted to add that point. I think it's such a good question, Venkat. Thank you for bringing it up. Okay. Anything else anyone would like to add on this, Yvonne? Okay, fantastic. So I think we've had a great session and a great conversation. I want to thank everyone once again for being so open and sharing and being so collaborative and making this conversation so interesting. I feel like I can keep doing this, and we can go on potentially. We can, if this was a 3-hour session, we would be able to do that for as long as we want. If are there any more questions from anyone? No, right? Not on the chat, Venkat. I don't see any.
Not on the chat, but we don't mind, having an open Q&A session. They can unmute on their videos.
Absolutely.
Come to the platform, share with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stephanie, Darren, Corina, Nandi, and Sunita.
Any questions from anyone on the floor? Please unmute yourself and feel free to ask.
Stephanie.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
No
Hi,
more
Stefan.
questions from my side, but just wanted to say that was very interesting. A lot of information. I go for a walk now and process that all. So yeah, thanks a lot for sharing everything with us. That was very interesting, and yeah, thanks.
No, thank you for your question, and thank you for being here. And I think your question really kind of made us all stumped for a second, like, oh my God, how am I going to answer that question? And I think that's always a very good question. So thank you for being here and bringing such an important question to light.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you. Karina?
So lovely to see you co-creating here. Honestly, I feel myself like a child. Wonderful to see you all and to learn from you.
Thank you.
Anybody
Thank you
else?
for being here.
Darren, you've gone quiet, Darren. Okay, if there aren't any further,
Yeah,
okay, come,
yes, sir.
Darren, you just unmuted. Come in.
No, because my question was just now was how do you handle a kid who can't take no for an answer? You know what I mean? Yeah, like certain kids, like, hi everyone. Anyway, again, Mega Symposium. I miss you guys. Anyway, yeah, for a kid who can't take no for an answer, how's your approach like? Like, that's what you say, we try not to snap, but sometimes we do. But for me is that, I will hold on for hours, hours after, learning a lot from last year as well. Your patience, it's much better. But the thing is that, after say maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and the kid still whines. I'm talking about my youngest one. So he's quite different from the brother, because you can see I got 2 kids here. So he's the youngest, he's the eldest. And we give them independence as well. Like my eldest one, he goes to school by himself now. He takes the bus and he comes home by himself. He has the keys as well. So we let him grow. But the youngest one is not like, no 2 kids are the same. So even though twins as well, they definitely have different behavior, different characteristics as well. But how do you handle a kid who can't take no for an answer, and it's been like hours?
Yeah, one of mine is like that. And but while mine is still very young, I attribute his saying no as if he doesn't really know what he's saying no to. So I keep on saying no. So I am very persistent on, if you in a way, if you think that you can keep saying no to me, I keep saying no back to that. No, it's not happening.
Well then, like the tantrum comes in, and then, like, I'll try and throw in more patience as the tantrums come in, but after a while it's still, it's time to snap, or then it's time to snap. But like for me, it's like discipline. But what kind of level of discipline should we put in, you see? I would like to know as well. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind coming in because everyone's having an internet problem. The question for you to ask yourself first, Darren, was there a need for you to say no, number one? Was there a need for you to say no at that moment, number two? And what was your emotional state at that moment?
Okay,
two things. Hang on. So you could have said yes for now in order to manage or watch his emotional cues, knowing that he's going to throw a tantrum at a shopping center. Could you address to this issue, not at the moment, but some other day or tomorrow? But what was your emotional state at that moment? These are the questions you can ask yourself, not today, not now, not during the situation, but these are a set of questions you can ask yourself.
Okay.
Thanks, Darren. That's a very nice one, actually. Anyone
I'm
else want to
sorry.
contribute to Darren's
I had
question? Yep, Aaron, welcome back.
sorry. I had a bit of connection issue. I apologize. Yeah, I just wanted to check if I'm back.
Yeah, okay, we get you. We hear you.
Ben,
Yes.
may I add to that, please? I keep saying Ben. So Darren, the other thing, just what we mentioned earlier, the two things was the boundaries and consistency is something to also bear in mind, is that if he has had yes to the same question yesterday and today it's no, he may not understand that. He can't understand the reason. Why did you say yes yesterday and no today? So that's where consistency comes in. And maybe to explain the reason. Why was it yes yesterday and it's no today? So maybe yesterday you did something, he did something, so this was a reward. But today you didn't do that same thing, so you can't expect to have, I'm just using a hypothetical situation, of course, I don't know the actual situation, but the two things, the consistencies, always say keeping consistent. So not to change it. Hopefully that's helpful as well.
I will try that out. I'll try that out. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? No questions in Facebook. Aurawan, you want to wrap it up, and then I'll just say my last announcement.
Yes, thank you so much. I think it was a great session. Thank you so much, Yvonne, Adelina, Fran, and Adri, for really being here and adding so much value to the conversation, especially around emotional intelligence and how we can cultivate it as parents, especially as moms, as we are juggling so many things. As I go back, I have had personally really never looked at being present element in so much detail as we have talked about today. And really, I have a lot to take back and reflect on and see how I can show up better for my children. So for me, this was personally very, very enriching. And I hope it was the same for you and for the audience as well. Thank you to the audience, the viewers we have on Facebook, as well as the ones who have made time to show up. I know we went a little beyond time, but I'm sure this was a valuable one for all of us to take something away from. And with that, thank you, Venkat and Blue Ink Project, once again for this wonderful opportunity to showcase this very important topic. Adelina and I have talked about this 2 years ago, and it is so amazing that today something like this has come to life. And it means so much, because we know that being mothers is not really easy, or being parents for that matter. It's really, really hard. So how we keep our head in the game. So whatever we can create as a ripple of, help or assistance, doing something that adds value to people, the community, very happy to contribute. So thank you, Blue Ink Project, for doing that.
And a big thank you to you, the founder of Innerlution, founder of Portal, Coaches Portal, and bringing in the fantastic team, because everyone, Yvonne, Adri, Fran, and they all had different kind of answers, but still coming into the same baseline here, which was beautiful. So a great team you gathered here. Thank you so much, Aurawan, Yvonne, Adri, Fran, and Adelina for being part of Blue Ink Project. This is the first EI series workshop we had today. Next week, we are having Raza Khan and Sandeepa, my two mentors actually, coming in to speak on empathy, which I'll be part of it also. And the third week of October, I'm having a roundtable where all of you will be invited. No particular guest speaker, no particular host, but it's a roundtable. Anyone can come in and discuss on emotional intelligence, especially on self-awareness. Who am I? Because sometimes as a mother, you forget who you are. You play the role of what you are. So let's go deeper on that topic on the third Sunday, 23rd of October. Blue Ink project, as we promised, we are going to be bringing lots of workshops for you, and there's some new plans in store. If you wish to come on board and be part of a volunteer, part of the committee, do drop me a message. The time is 11 o'clock in Singapore. Must be 2 o'clock for you, Aurawan. With this, let's all wish Aurawan and the Singaporeans here a good night, and thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, everyone. We do have a feedback form at the end that
Yep,
if you have time, please fill in.
we will appreciate from the speakers too.
Yes, absolutely.
Aurawan,
Thank you.
I'll post it in the Facebook also, okay?
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you, Aurawan. Thank you, Ben, the other panelists, the audience, everybody. It was great.
Have a lovely Sunday.